everyone, Chris here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. And as you can see by my Christmas hat, my Dean Ambrose wrestling Christmas hat, it's December, which means it's the month of Christmas and all of the Christmassy reads, and I can't wait to get to all of them. I believe in this week's vlog, I'm mainly going to be focusing on my Cozmas books and any other cozy mysteries I can sneak in to this vlog. And the second, third, and fourth are the next round of the Wacky Witches readathon. And for this, I need to finish the book I'm currently reading. So come the second, whatever book I'm currently reading, I need to finish one of them. I need to read a book I had hoped to get to before the end of the year, which could literally be, speaking of one of the books I'm in the midst of, A Pack Divided, though I will probably be on to a different book, but any of the Survivors books. I also have a cozy mystery, 2 of them. One is Purring Around the Christmas Tree. I don't remember the name of the other one off the top of my head, but they're books 6 and 7 in the Positively Organic Mystery series. So hopefully I will be able to get to both of them. So either of those could fit for that prompt. And then I need to read a book that I think is going to make an impact on me or be important or something like that. And I'm going to end up reading In the Garden of Beasts, hopefully. I would grab it, but it is currently under, like, at the bottom of the stack of my Phase 10 TBR, so it would be a little tricky, and that's, like, right behind the camera, like, it's right there. So those are going to be the books I read over the weekend. Probably a Survivors book that I'm in the middle of, another Survivors book for the second prompt or one of my cozy mysteries, and then In the Garden of Beasts. And then for the 5th, 6th, and 7th, I will switch back to my cozy mysteries and trying to get through my Cozmas TBR. And actually, looking at it now, this is probably going to be an 8-day vlog because I'll have a vlog for the weekend of the 9th, 10th, and the 11th. So yeah, this will be an 8-day vlog. I think that's going to work out best. So this vlog will be from the 1st through the 8th, and we'll focus on my Cozmas and my Wacky Witches TBR. We'll see how I can do. I've got a lot of reading I want to do right now. Like I said, I'm in the middle of A Pack Divided, and I've also picked up Midnight Train, which technically wasn't on my TBR, but I needed an audiobook at the end of November while I was doing something, and I can't pick up my December TBR yet, so I went with a book I had out of the library that I hoped to get to at some point that I also had an audiobook for. So I'm about halfway through this, and I should be able to finish it relatively quickly. I'm going to be going to do sprints with the hopes of finishing both of these tonight before I go to bed. Or today before I go to bed. However you want to look at it. You know me in time by now. And yeah, I think that's all the updates I've got right now because we are kicking this off. But that's the plan. Cozy Mysteries, Wacky Witches. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be 8 days probably of chaos because I think with the books I want to read, like for various TBRs or nonfiction or series to continue, that kind of stuff, I think I have to average like 400 pages a day. If I want to get to all of the books that I would like to get to in the month of December, it's like 600. So we'll see. So there's going to be a lot of reading. So yeah, I'm going to go do some sprints and read, and I will check back in with you soon with an update. So it is December 2nd, which means the Wacky Witches readathon is on, and I wanted to check in so that you would know what I was reading for it. So, first up, I'm going to update you on my reading yesterday. I finished A Pack Divided. This is the first book in the second arc of 6 in the Survivor series, and I'm giving this 3.75 stars. It's not my favorite, but I did enjoy it, and I'm intrigued to see where it's going to go, and I'm willing to give it room to breathe because I know that the first arc as a whole was better than the sum of its parts. So we'll see if this one continues the trend. Which brings me to Dead of Night. This is the second book in the Survivor series second arc, and this is going to be my finish your current read book. I am on page 176. I should be able to finish this in about an hour, if not less, and that would be my currently reading book, or one of them. So this will be what I'm reading for my current read for the Wacky Witches readathon. Then for read a book you wanted to get to before the end of 2022, I will be picking up the third book in this arc, which is Into the Shadows. So that is going to be my plan. I'm hoping to get through most of this tonight, if not all of it before bed, so that I can then move on to In the Garden of Beasts, because that is a nonfiction centered in Berlin during Hitler's reign, and we're following an American family, and I just want to give myself as much time as possible to read that, since I want to read it between the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th. That isn't the only thing I've read. I had a really good reading day. I finished Midnight Train as well. This is the second book in the Enchanter's Child duology. I believe it is a duology. It reads like a duology. I think I saw something that said it was a duology, so that's what I'm going with. The end felt very like this is the last book. I'm going 3.5 stars on this. This book was all right. I don't feel like I wasted my time reading it. I enjoyed some parts of it, but it is definitely not one I could see myself picking up and rereading, and it's really hard to talk about because I have no idea whether this vlog or my fall covers vlog is going to go out first. Probably this one. And since the first book is part of my fall covers vlog, I feel like I can't really talk about this book because I would then spoil the fall covers thing. So it's tricky. It's just not my favorite book I've read recently, but it is certainly better than others. And I do like the magic in this world. It's a fantasy. I will give you that much. And I liked some of our characters, but I feel like we had too many POVs and it was kind of spread thin, if that makes any sense. And I don't know, I wasn't as invested in this book as I had hoped to be. I started An Act of Foul Play, which is the 7th or 8th book in the Lady Hardcastle mystery series. I'm so excited to be back with Flo and Lady Hardcastle. This is one of my books for Cozmas. As you can see, I'm wearing my hoodie. I've got my beanie on. I'm in bed with my blankets. There's no kitties. Oh, I lie. Easy kitty. She did curl up. And I believe in the last B-roll, you saw me curled up with a kitty reading A Pack Divided. So I've gotten 4 of my cozy reads. I did have Coco earlier, so technically I have 5, but I'll try to get B-roll footage of my Coco and my reading. I am so happy to be back in this world. Lady Hardcastle and Flo are out at a play with friends. When the second act begins, the curtain rises, the cast comes on stage, and their castmate is very obviously dead, when he really, really shouldn't be. And basically, that's all I know. I'm not far enough into it to know anymore. And there is a CLO ear. Anyways, I'm very curious to see where that's going to go, and I'm going to try to read that. But the cool thing is that's an ebook that I listen to the audiobook for while I'm reading, so I tend to do that at night right before bed. And then I do have one more update because I've been a very busy reader today. I started Bewitched, Bothered, and Biscotti by Bailey Cates. I'm on page 58. I just got to chapter 7. And in this one, in this series, we're following Katie, who ends up helping her aunt and uncle open a bakery and finding out that she's a witch. In this one, she stumbles across a dead body when she's out having a picnic, and soon learns that the dead man has a tattoo that ties him to the secret society and is kind of getting drawn into the mystery. I'm very, very curious about this one. In the first one, I struggled with a character that I didn't particularly like, and That character has shown up, but I'm curious to see if anything changes with this character and whether we get a better understanding of them and they become more likable, or whether we'll see less of them in future books. Who knows? Cielo just does not want to sit still tonight. So far, so good on this. And like I said, I'm going to try to read all of my cozy mysteries that I have on my TBR during Cozmas. So very excited to get into this and start 2 of my cozy mysteries, even though I'm going to kind of put them on the back burner a little bit for the weekend because of the Wacky Witches readathon. So that is the only update I have for you right now. Hopefully I will be back soon with a better update. And yeah, we'll see how this weekend goes, because it's going to be very, very different vibes between Survivor's cozy mysteries and nonfiction set in Hitler's Berlin. But that can make for a very nice like palette cleanser, because I'll be bouncing back and forth between 3 genres. So hopefully I won't get burnt out on anything. So yeah, I'm going to go read, and I'll check back with you all soon. So it is now Monday, which means the Wacky Witches readathon is now over. We're still doing Cozmas, but the Wacky Witches part of my insane TBRs of December is done. So the first prompt I needed to do was finish my current read, which I did. I read Dead of the Night. Nope, just Dead of Night. This is the second book in the second arc of 6 in the Survivor series. I'm giving this 3.75 stars. It is still intriguing, and I was still invested throughout this book, but I'm definitely not enjoying it as much as the first arc. And then I'm looking. So I have the graphic up here. I'll pop it on the screen over here so that you can see it. We had to start with that at the bottom of our wishing potion. Sorry, this at the bottom of our wishing potion. And then we had to do an act of self-love, which I did, but it's personal to me, so I'm not feeling comfortable sharing it. It's mine, and I did it, but again, private. Then you had to let go of the past, which I've done. Again, that's private to me. I don't really want to share it, but I did indeed do it. Then I had to read a book I wanted to get to before the end of 2022. So I read Into the Shadows, which is the third book in the second arc of 6 of the Survivor series. I'm giving this one 3.5 stars. I'm not enjoying this arc anywhere near as much as the first one. Part of it is that the POV is no longer Lucky, the dog we meet in the first book, and I'm not enjoying our POV as much. The second part is I'm not quite sure about the overarching storyline that is kind of the main focus of the arc in general, as opposed to each specific book. And I'm still open to seeing where it goes, but I'm worried that it is essentially a rehash of a story that Warriors did. And Warriors did it better, if that's what's happening. So I'm open to seeing what happens, and I'm not DNFing it. I'm going to finish it, but it's not necessarily working the best for me. Then we had to share our wish for 2023, and I made this one also personal. So again, not going to share it, but I have done it, and I wanted to let you know that I did it. But I kind of want to keep those 3 things for me and not share it with the larger audience. And then the last prompt was to read a book you think will be important to you. And I read most of In the Garden of Beasts. So I am on page 313, and it's like 355 pages. So I read most of it. And this is a nonfiction following, I want to say he's like the consulate ambassador. We're following William E. Dodd, who becomes the ambassador to Hitler's Germany and is in Berlin. And we follow the points of view of him and his daughter, who are both very important to some of the things that are going on in Hitler's Berlin. And the reason I thought this was going to be important to me is because I heard on Twitter that this was assigned as a book for some students. A teacher assigned it, and they started drawing parallels between the way Hitler's regime kind of took over in this time period in Germany and the current things that are going on today. And I can absolutely say, after having read most of it, I see it. And it's horrific and sad and heartbreaking. And it is important to me because I am a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I am non-binary. I am ace. I watch this stuff all the time. And I see how many people want to take our rights away, or how many people just don't give a crap whether we live or die and think that we're awful human beings. And people thought that about Jewish people too. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see the parallels, and it is important for me to read this, and that's why I chose it to be important, because I wanted to know. I did not realize just how many parallels there were, and it makes me so angry, because it's not just that. Like, we're seeing a rise of anti-Semitism, we're seeing a rise of racism towards numerous groups of people, basically anybody that's not cisgendered, straight, and white. Like, there is just so much hate going on in this country, and it breaks my heart. And then, even if you are cisgendered, straight, and white, if you are in any way disabled or mentally ill or anything like that, you get a lot of hate too. So, like, it breaks my heart that so many of these individuals who have something that are not normal about them are being targeted. But unfortunately, we're not all banding together to say, no, I don't think so. It's like, you have, like, people who are across the board in all of these different categories who go, yeah, well, it's not going to happen to me, so I don't care. Or, like, I have literally seen stuff about, like, LGB people defending the stuff that's going on against trans people, because there are LGB people who fall under that part of the umbrella who are transphobic. And I'm just sitting here going, you think if they take away the rights of the trans people, they're just going to stop there? That they're not going to come after the rest of the queer community or any other minority they think they can oppress? It legitimately blows my mind, because I'm looking at it going, we stopped what happened as a world in World War II. We stopped Hitler, we erased that, we liberated the Jews. And I'm saying that as, like, the human race managed to do that. But if Hitler had taken over, do you really think he would have stopped with the Jews? Do you not think that if he had become the supreme ruler of the entire world, that he would have stopped with Jews? Because I don't. I absolutely don't. I think he would have gone after anybody and everybody he deemed different, or, like, vermin, which is a common term that they used for the Jews. Anybody he thought was unworthy or not up to his standard of living. So no, it wouldn't have just been the Jews. It eventually would have been more than just the Jews. And that's why I'm, like, sitting here going, let them target trans people. Bury your head in the sand. But eventually, if they get their way, they will come after you too. And so this book has been very important to me, because, like I said, I'm seeing the parallels, and it is definitely eye-opening, and will hopefully make me a more informed person and a more aware person going forward. So I'm going to finish this. I'm really enjoying it, because, like I said, I'm drawing the parallels, and yeah, I didn't quite finish it, but it is what it is. Now, back to Cozmas. In much lighter tones, I've actually made some progress with some cozy mysteries. I've read more of, In an Act of Foul Play, which is the latest book in the Lady Hardcastle mystery series. I've only read a couple of chapters in total, but I'm enjoying it so far. I finished Bewitched, Bothered, and Biscotti by Bailey Cates. This is the second book in the Magical Bakery series. This was not on my Cozmas TBR. And I read it for the word of the day prompt for phase 10 choosing my TBR, because it was Genoise, which is essentially some kind of cake, and it's a magical bakery mystery. We are actually going to pull up my TBR just in case it counted for anything else, because I swear I'm doing so many readathons that, like, if I don't look this up, I am not going to be able to remember what books fit which prompt. And I do want to let you know, because I'm doing, like I said, so many different readathons that it's just not even funny. Let's see. Okay, it was literally just the dictionary.com prompt, and it is the third series that came out of my TBR jar, which I believe I put it back in there, but I am going to let you know now. This was a 3-star. It was all right. We're following Katie. Katie, who is helping her aunt and uncle to run a bakery, and they open up in the first book, and she also finds out that she's a witch. There is a kind of love triangle that is going on between her and 2 other characters that starts in the first book, continues in the second book, and one of the characters in said love triangle, because I wasn't sure that's where it was going, but it definitely got confirmed in book 2 that it's going to be some sort of kind of love triangle. I don't like him. I really, really, really don't like him, to the point that I cannot handle that Katie likes him. I can't handle how quickly the whole love triangle has moved, because it feels like, at least on page, they haven't known each other that long, and it's already this insane brouhaha, and if that's the way it is in book 2, I'm just not interested. It's kind of ruined the series for me, because I really, really, really don't like this character, and we meet another character in this book who is even more unlikable, and I'm worried that they're going to continue to show up, so, I just don't think this cozy mystery series is for me, so I will be DNFing it. So if it comes back out of my jar, I will remove the slip, but 3 stars. The mystery part was all right, but the rest of it I could live without. In a Garden of Beasts is also my nonfiction pick for the month, and I'm reading it for Book That Will Make You Hot for Mary Bookmiss, because it's going to make me angry, and it very much has. And I'm using the angry interpretation of hot as opposed to the sexy interpretation of hot or steamy romance or something like that, because, well, that doesn't apply to me. So I did want to mention that in case I forget when I wrap up this book to mention that. So that's the prompts this is fulfilling. The 2 Survivors books didn't fulfill any prompts. They were getting me to the point where I could read the book in the series that will. I also have started Murder in the Cookbook Nook, which is one of my sleuths for Cozmas. I am on page 74, and I'm enjoying this so far. We're following Jane. Yes, Jane, who runs an inn, and in this book there is going to be a cooking competition, and one of the people that is involved in the cooking competition ends up dead. We have just gotten to the point in the book where we found the dead body, and I'm very, very curious to see who done it, because, well, it was just interesting, and it sounds like it's going to be quite the conundrum for Jane to figure out. This is fulfilling my prompt for Phase 10 for books about books, because, it's a book retreat mystery. She runs a book retreat inn, and they're doing a cooking show, which involves cookbooks, and I believe the body was actually found in the cookbook nook, hence Murder in the Cookbook Nook. So this definitely is a book that involves books for sure. And so far, I'm enjoying being back with Jane and the crew and getting to see what is going on with this murder. And yeah, so far, so good. And then I picked up another cozy mystery in Mrs. Claus and the Santaland Slangs. I don't believe this has any prompts. Let's double check. Sorry to keep looking down, but that's where my computer is, and I don't want to mess this up, and I have 30 books or more on my TBR, so trying to remember all the prompts they fulfill for the 7 different readathons I'm doing is just not possible. Okay. This is just the Cozmas group book. It is a cozy mystery that follows the new Mrs. Claus, who recently got married to Nick Claus, who had to take over after his brother died. And things aren't as holly jolly in Santaland as they should be, and we're heading towards the Christmas season. Her husband has not been the proper Santa for Christmas before, and he's very, very stressed, and an elf ends up dead. And this happens shortly after he is seen arguing with Nick, aka Santa himself. So April sets out to find out what really happened, because her husband has become the kind of main suspect, and she wants to kind of clear his name. I am on page 148. This was a little slow to start, and I don't think that it's necessarily going to be my favorite cozy mystery series, though I could definitely be open to being proven wrong. But so far, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying getting to know the world and getting to learn more about April. Right? April? Yeah. April. This is what happens when I'm reading 6 books at a time. I forget everybody's names. So I'm enjoying learning more about April and learning more about her relationship with Nick, how she ended up at the North Pole, what this particular North Pole and Santaland looks like. I like getting to see Nick's family, learning more about the reindeer, the elves, the different kind of workshops. It's just been kind of interesting, and I think once the world is set up, I might actually like the mysteries more, because I think this is one of the kinds of books that will suffer for establishing the world and the characters and things like that, because Enola Holmes would be another book where I think they got progressively better once the world and the characters were all set up and had been established, because it meant that the author could devote more time to the actual mystery aspect, and you knew enough to kind of navigate around said world. So I'm enjoying this, and the more I've read, the more I get into it. So it feels like it's going to be in the 3-star range, maybe high 3-star actually. So I'm more optimistic about it at the 150 page mark than I was at the 100 page mark. So yeah, I believe that's all the updates I have. It's been a crazy couple days. I'm reading like ridiculous number of books, and yeah, it's just, it's craziness, because 7 readathons. 7. What was I thinking? So yeah, trying to keep all of that straight and keep the phase 10 prompt straight is very, very tricky, but I think I'm doing all right. I hope you don't mind that I've popped my computer up, because it's just going to be easier to tell you what prompts I'm doing for them if I'm looking at the data, because I'll show you guys here a sneak peek at my spreadsheet that I have going. Let's see if I can. So I've kind of pulled it over so you can see like the actual phases, but like I have the books listed, then the phase 10 prompts that they fulfill, and then all of the other prompts they may fulfill, or like nonfiction, series to continue, buzzwordathon, stuff like that. So it makes my spreadsheet look kind of crazy, but it is the only way I can keep track of everything. And I found it works really, really well, because I also, I have 2 different columns, but like, I don't know if you can see the numbers on the side, where like over here, where there's like pages, because I actually have it set up so that I know exactly how many pages I would need to read per day to like finish my TBR. And this isn't updated for today. It is by the days divisible, but it's not by like the actual pages read, because I haven't taken out either of my books that I read today, because the only books I read today were In the Garden of Beasts and Mrs. Claus and the Sandland Slings, like the 4th. Those are the only books I made progress on, and I do it at night. I just haven't got to that yet. I'll be doing that in just a second. So originally, if I was going to read all of the books on my TBR, it would be 12,712 pages, which would be about 410 pages a day. Prior to the 4th, I had 11,297 pages per day, and that would average to 418 before I take out the pages I actually read today. So I'm probably doing better than that. So far, I feel like I'm actually on target to finish my TBR this month somehow, some way. And that does not include Midnight Train, which was not on this TBR, but I have read. And then I have other books I would like to get to. So we will see how it goes. I want to read everything. Everything that there is, I want to read it. So, yeah, I think I'm doing all right. I will absolutely finish this. I think I have 40 minutes left in the audiobook, so my goal is to finish this tonight, and then try to work on some of my cozy mysteries, since it is Cozmas, and I would like to finish all of my cozy mysteries this week. So I need to pick up the pace if that's going to happen, but they're pretty easy reads, cozy mysteries, and I'm very excited to have, let's see, 4 days of reading cozies, because then I have my weekend readathons, which will have a whole nother blog. Oh god, seriously, why did I pick 7 readathons? Somebody rein me in 2023. Remind me of this in 2023 when I say, I'm doing all of the readathons. Here are the 12 readathons I have decided to do. Remind me of this, please, please. Anyways, I'm going to go read, because if I don't go read, I'm never going to finish my TBR, and I will check back in with you, hopefully before the end of the week, but knowing me, maybe not. Who knows? We'll see. So yeah, I will see you all soon, and yeah, say goodbye, Ellie. is like 1 in the morning on Thursday, and I will technically be wrapping this video up later today because today is the last day of the vlog. But I've read so many books, and they're all over my room, and I'd like to return some of them to the library tomorrow, so I thought I would check in so I could just hold them up and tell you what I thought. I believe last time I checked in with you, I had just finished Press's readathon, so it would have been early Monday morning, which means I was getting ready to finish In the Garden of Beasts, which I did. I'm going, I think, like 4 stars on this. I just found so many connections to things going on today and some of the feelings. And I thought it was particularly interesting that I read this right around the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. If for no other reason than based on some of the attitudes that we had during Hitler's early regime and some of the attitudes we had towards Jewish people in general, I still wonder if we would have even gotten involved if they hadn't attacked us. Would we have just let things continue to go the way they were if we hadn't had Pearl Harbor? Like, how much longer would we have let things go on the way they were going? Because there is a brief mention in here that alludes to how we were treating Black people in our country at the time. And like, when I was reading, I think it was the 1619 Project earlier in the year, they mentioned that we had Black soldiers who would fight in the war for us to help liberate Jews, but then would come home and would be treated like complete garbage here. So we were obviously learning nothing. So it just is one of those things that makes you wonder, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I hadn't even looked at it through that lens of what interesting timing for me to pick this book up. So yeah, 4 stars. It wasn't my favorite book, which has nothing to do with the content or anything like that. It's just more of how it was written, and it's going to take a lot from any nonfiction book to get that 5 stars for me. So 4 stars, really enjoyed it. It was my nonfiction pick of the month, and it'll cover the prompt, read a book that'll make you hot, aka angry, for Mary Bookmas. Then I believe I finished Murder in the Cookbook Nook. This is the 7th book in the book retreat mystery series, and we're following Jane, and there is a cooking competition going on at Jane's book resort because she owns like this bookish inn with her aunt and uncle. And one of the chefs ends up dead, and she kind of has to start digging into whodunit. This book covered one of my sleuths for Cozmas, and it covered Book About Books for Phase 10 Chooses My TBR. I think I'm going 4.25 stars on this one. It definitely kept me guessing till the end, but I did manage to figure it out like as it was wrapping up, but there was a twist to the story that I hadn't quite pieced together, so I thought that was super interesting. I really like Jane and her family, and I like the idea of the resort, so I love the setting, and this is just a fun mystery series that I really, really enjoy reading. Then I read Mrs. Claus and the Santa Land Slayings, and this was the group book for Cozmas. I think I'm going to go 3.75 stars. So this is following a woman named April who has just recently become the new Mrs. Claus. She met her husband, Nick, and they hadn't known each other long when they got married, and she found out that he was Santa Claus. He had just taken over for his brother who had died in tragic circumstances. And so we're heading into the first Christmas season where she's Mrs. Claus, and an elf dies right after publicly accusing her husband of being a murderer. So she kind of gets thrown into this investigation and has to figure out whether her husband is innocent and being set up, or if maybe she doesn't know her husband as well as she should have, especially considering they're now married and have only known each other for a few months. This took me a little bit to get into, but once I did, it kind of flew by. I really like the setting of the North Pole at Christmas time. I'm very curious to see what happens in book 2. Like, is it still going to be in the lead to Christmas, or are we going to get a different setting? April owns an inn that they plan to run during the off season, and I believe her inn is in Oregon, so it could be interesting to see if the inn becomes a location in the second book, or if all of the murders that April will be investigating will be at the North Pole, or if April will be the one investigating them. Maybe we will see things from a different character's point of view. Who knows? I haven't read the description for the second book, but I definitely like the Christmas vibes, and it had me guessing until the very, very end, and I think I caught it like right before the reveal. And even then I wasn't 100% positive until like the second it kind of played out on page. So I really, really enjoyed that. I just, like I said, it took me a little bit to get into, but I think going forward, it could be a series I really grow to love. Then I read Death at the Manor. This is the third book in the Lily Adler mystery series, and I'm going 3.5 stars. This wasn't my favorite. So Lily Adler is a widow, and in this book, she's visiting her aunt, where she gets drawn into this mystery of how did this woman die in a locked room. And the manor where this woman died is being haunted by a ghost, so everybody thinks the ghost did it. And so Lily has to kind of put together the pieces to figure out who done it. She has a friend that she brings with her. I think her name's Ophelia. Yes, Ophelia. And we get scenes from Ophelia's point of view too. So like, we definitely have some bouncing around point of views, and that drew my interest down because it took me a minute to realize we had switched point of views, because I was like, why is Lily referring to herself as Mrs. Adler? I'm very confused. And it actually says in the author's note, if you've noticed a slightly different flavor to Lily's third adventure, that isn't by accident. So there's definitely a kind of different tone to this book, and I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first two. There is also a character who's in the first two that I really enjoyed that isn't in this one, and I think that also brought my enjoyment down. So I'm definitely going to continue on with the series whenever book 4 comes out, and I'm hoping that maybe this was just a hiccup, because I know in Cozy Mystery Series, you don't always love every single book that's in the series, and sometimes you have some that you really, really love and others that you don't. The mystery was intriguing with the idea that, you know, you have the closed room of this woman was locked in her bedroom. There's no other way to get in the bedroom, so how did she die? I liked that, but I don't know, like I said, the tone was off, and it was missing some of the charm that I enjoyed in the first two books, so we'll see how book 4 pans out. Also, let's consult my spreadsheet here. Death at the Manor was sleuth number 3 for Cozmas, so it's one of my cozy sleuths for Cozmas, and it covered the historical fiction prompt for Phase 10. Then I read Apple Cider Slang by Julie Ann Lindsay. So this is the Cozy Hollow Book Club pick. Let's see, what prompts for readathons did it fill? It's a buddy read for one of the prompts for Bookmas, because one of the prompts was to do a buddy read. And since I'm reading it with the Cozy Hollow Book Club, I think it counts as a buddy read. It's the start of a new series for the Reindeer Readathon. And I'm reading it for one of my prompts for the Journey to the Candy Cane Ball for Lexi's Patreon Readathon. So I'm not going to share the prompt, but I will share, like, I can pop a picture of the map up here. And we're going to pull up my spreadsheet with my readathon prompts. And I will tell you where on the map this, like, checks off, even if I won't tell you too much about the prompt, because Lexi wants to keep those quiet. So I use this to fulfill the Polar Express prompt. So I'm going to give this book 4.25 stars. I really enjoyed this as the start to the series. We're following Winnie, and she ends up finding the rival of her grandmother dead in the apple cider press, as her granny and her own a apple orchard. And this leads to her grandmother being the #1 suspect. So of course, Winnie has to investigate and try to clear her grandmother's name. I really, really enjoyed Winnie as our main character. I enjoyed kind of trying to piece this mystery together with her, and I enjoyed the setting and seeing the struggles that she was going through and the other things that were going on in her life besides this murder, and how this murder kind of affected all of that. I like Winnie's relationship with her grandmother, and yeah, I thought this was a really good start to the series, and it definitely really, really intrigued me. So I'm hoping that I can continue this series sooner rather than later. And there are 2 cute kitties on the cover, and we do get to meet them. So it'll be a cozy mystery series with kitties, and I love cozy mystery series with kitties. So I'm hoping we see more of them in book 2. I believe I've read maybe a little bit more of An Act of Foul Play by T.E. Kinsey, but I haven't finished it. I really need to get back to that. But I'm reading along on my phone because I've got the book via Kindle, which is how I've read all of them because they're on Kindle Unlimited. And I'm listening to the audiobook because you get free Audible narration for these books. So, though I don't know whether that's because I have an Audible account or whether you just do. But I like listening to the audiobook along with it. But I do really need to get back to that. I just tend to forget that I could read it. And then today, because I needed an audiobook, I listened to The Dragon Thief, which is the second book in the Dragons in a Bag series. And in the first book, we meet Jax, who ends up becoming responsible for a bag of dragons and has to kind of deliver them. And of course, things go out of control. And we're seeing the continuation of that journey in this second book. I'm giving this 4 stars. This is just a really sweet series. It's adorable. It's got dragons. It's got some friendships. It's got a lot of really good family vibes. I definitely plan to get the Little Ones in My Life, some books in this series at some point, because it's such a cute series, and I'm really enjoying my read of it, and was glad that I managed to get this on my TBR for, I believe, BIPOC wrap? Yes, BIPOC wrap. And nothing else. It is one of the few books that does not fulfill multiple prompts. So yeah, really enjoyed this and am enjoying the series. And then I have one more update. I think this is the last update. I've started The Martian. This is my last 5-star prediction from my 3rd round of this year. So I've read 3 books for the 4th round and 4 books for the 3rd round. And I really, really, really would like to get the vlog for this round out on Friday. It is now 1:16 a.m. on Thursday, which means I need to read this book so that I can tell you what I thought about it and edit it and upload it and all that jazz to try to get it out on Friday. So we will see. You will all know by the time you get this, you will know whether I managed to do that or not. But I read the first chapter and I'm already extremely intrigued. And that's all I'm going to say about it because, again, 5-star prediction. But that first chapter, wow, just... it definitely draws you into the book, and that's all I'm going to tell you about that. But that is my plan, is to sit down and hopefully read as much of that as I possibly can. I'm actually going to be doing some sprints tonight to help facilitate that in like 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to wrap this up here so I can go get ready for my sprints, and I will check back in with you tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, or early tomorrow morning after midnight, so that I can wrap this vlog up. So it is Friday, and that means it is time to wrap this vlog up. I know I just checked in yesterday, so I don't have much to say. Today was a bit of a wonky day. I stayed really late last night sprinting, did not get enough sleep, so I had a nap because I was tired. And then on top of that, my toaster oven kind of died. It was preheating, and smoke started to come out of it. So we turned it off, and we originally thought, because where we keep it, the cats can get on it, we usually wipe it down, and we thought maybe a little bit of cat hair had gotten inside the toaster oven. So obviously when it heated up, the cat hair caught fire, but it looked like it was coming out of the vents on the side of the toaster oven and not like from inside it. And then it was still really hot. So with how hot it was when it hadn't been on that long, and on top of that, my mom says that it usually cools down really quick, we decided to take no chances, so it's now sitting in our driveway. And we're just going to get a new one, rather than take a risk with that one. So it kind of meant I had to figure out what I was then going to have for dinner, because I obviously couldn't have what I was going to have because I no longer had a toaster oven to cook it in. Which definitely ate into my reading time. I also realized yesterday that I had not edited my festive readathon / holiday rom-comathon TBR, so I had to do that really quick today and then watch it and upload it and spend time doing that. So I did not get anywhere near as much read as I had hoped. I am on page 274 of The Martian. I have less than 100 pages to go. I had hoped to have this done today. I want the vlog to go out, it's Friday, so I want the vlog to go out today. We'll see. I'm going to finish reading this first, then I'm going to film my thoughts on this, wrap up that vlog, edit that vlog, and then hopefully it'll go out tomorrow. If not, it will definitely go out next week, so at least I've gotten that taken care of. And since this is a 5-star prediction, I won't be talking about it here. The other update I have is that I got a little bit tired last night, but I wasn't really done with sprinting. Like, I wasn't ready to go to bed, and I was actually doing those sprints to help a friend I've made via BookTube, because she's packing for a move and could use a little extra motivation. So I probably did more sprints than I would have if I hadn't had that little extra nudge. So I ended up listening to an audiobook, and I got to page 65 of the last book in here. This is fulfilling the prompt. Lowest rated on my TBR, and I believe it had like a 3.31 on Goodreads, and so far I don't know why, because I'm enjoying it. But then again, a 3.31 is not necessarily a bad read. Like, for me, that puts it in 3.25 territory, and those are typically books I've enjoyed but couldn't see myself rereading and didn't like get a great attachment to, or like they went in a direction I wasn't expecting. So we'll see, but I probably won't be picking this up until Tuesday, because it is also Cozmas. So I'm going to give you my update on Cozmas. I've got 5 sleuths. I've finished 2. I'm partway through the Lady Hardcastle an Act of Foul Play. So I've made progress on that. I have not started Purring Around the Christmas Tree. I want to do that Monday, so that's going to be my main focus for Monday, is reading Purring Around the Christmas Tree. And then somehow between now and Monday, I need to stick in Gone But Not Forgotten, not to mention the Lady Hardcastle book. So we're going to see. I'm going to try my darndest to finish all of that. Just lots and lots of reading. And then this weekend is going to be focused on my rom-comathon / festive readathon TBR, which means I'm going to be reading Hang the Moon by Alexandria Bellafleur, New Year's Kiss by Lee Matthews. It's like the shop on Nutcracker Lane. That's not quite right. I'll pop a picture of the book up here. It's by, I think it's Jamie Admons, and it's like a holiday romance. And then I'm going to be reading The Christmas Letter, which is a Christmassy themed cozy. So we're going to try to cram all of that, plus this, and the Lady Hardcastle Mystery Series, and the end of The Martian into this weekend. Wish me luck. I'm going to need it. But yeah, all in all, I think I've made a very big dent in my December TBR. I'm still on track page-wise if I want to finish the entire thing. So thumbs up for that, and hopefully I will continue the momentum through the weekend, while also trying to get caught up on vlogs and things like that, because I would really like to start the new year not being completely behind. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it for this week's vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me alien emojis in honor of The Martian. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!